Florida, the Sunshine State. We picture theme parks, beaches, and endless summers. Tourists flock here for fun and relaxation. But behind this sunny facade lies a harsh reality. Florida is grappling with a growing homeless population. This isn't just a problem for big cities, it affects every corner of the state. From bustling Miami to quaint coastal towns, homelessness casts a long shadow. Luxury condos tower over streets where people beg for change. Gated communities exist just miles from sprawling homeless encampments. This is a story about the human cost of a crisis hidden in plain sight. Homelessness isn't a new problem in Florida, but its scale has reached alarming levels in recent years. The state now has one of the highest rates of homelessness in the entire country. Thousands of Floridians are without a safe and stable place to call home. Who are these individuals? They are veterans, families who lost their jobs, and young people aging out of the foster care system. The lack of affordable housing is a major driver. Wages haven't kept pace with the rising cost of living. Homelessness is not a personal failing, it's a systemic problem that requires systemic solutions. The human toll of this crisis is immeasurable. Homeless individuals face daily struggles just to survive. They endure hunger, exposure to the elements, and a lack of basic hygiene. The presence of homelessness also impacts communities. It strains resources, burdens social services, and can lead to increased crime rates. The time for action is now. Florida's idyllic image crumbles when we confront the stark reality of its homelessness crisis. As of 2023, over 27,000 individuals experience homelessness on any given night in Florida. These statistics don't capture the hidden homeless. Individuals and families who are couch surfing, living in cars, or doubled up with relatives out of desperation. The true number of Floridians touched by homelessness is likely much higher. The face of homelessness in Florida is diverse. It includes families with children, veterans, and individuals battling mental health challenges or substance abuse. These aren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. Their stories deserve to be heard, their struggles acknowledged, and their humanity recognized. The image of Florida as a haven of leisure and luxury clashes harshly with the reality of life on the streets. For those experiencing homelessness, the Sunshine State can feel like anything but paradise. Daily existence becomes a relentless struggle for survival. Imagine trying to sleep at night, not in a comfortable bed, but on a hard park bench. Public spaces, parks, beaches, libraries become makeshift homes. Homeless individuals are often treated as invisible. The emotional toll of homelessness is immense. The feeling of being forgotten can lead to despair and hopelessness. Florida's homelessness crisis lays bare the stark economic disparities that define the state. In a single city block, you might find luxury condominiums towering over a makeshift encampment of tents and tarps. Drive down any major thoroughfare in Miami, Orlando, or Tampa, and you'll witness this tale of two Floridas. On one side, you'll see opulent mansions and five-star restaurants. On the other side, you'll find homeless individuals begging for change. Even in smaller coastal towns, the signs of homelessness are impossible to ignore. The influx of tourists and seasonal residents often drives up housing costs. This economic disparity fuels the cycle of homelessness. The very things that make Florida a desirable destination also contribute to its homelessness crisis. The influx of wealthy residents and visitors drives up the cost of living. As luxury condos and vacation homes sprout up, they often replace affordable housing options. The service industry relies on low-wage workers who struggle to afford housing. The pursuit of luxury and leisure often overshadows the plight of those struggling to survive. These two worlds of opulence and despair exist side by side in Florida. The presence of homelessness in such close proximity to affluence is a stark reminder of economic inequality. Can we truly enjoy paradise while our neighbors struggle to survive? At the heart of Florida's homelessness crisis lies a severe lack of affordable housing. The availability of housing within reach for low and moderate income individuals and families has dwindled. Florida's population continues to grow, putting a strain on the housing supply. The lack of investment in affordable housing development compounds the issue. The construction of new affordable housing units hasn't kept pace with the loss of existing units. Without access to safe, stable, and affordable housing, individuals and families are left vulnerable. The lack of affordable housing acts as a chokehold on economic mobility. It traps families in a cycle of poverty. The lack of affordable housing is not just a symptom of poverty, it's also a significant driver of it. When families spend a disproportionate amount of their income on rent, they have less money for other essential needs. This financial strain creates a domino effect that can push families further into poverty. Children living in poverty are more likely to experience hunger, health problems, and educational disadvantages. The stress of living paycheck to paycheck takes a toll on mental and physical health. Families facing housing instability may be forced to move frequently, disrupting children's education. The lack of affordable housing also limits access to opportunity. It becomes even more challenging to break free from the cycle of poverty. Florida's reputation as a haven for retirees and tourists has come at a cost. The influx of wealthy residents and visitors has driven up the cost of living. Housing costs have skyrocketed, far outpacing wage growth. In many parts of Florida, finding an affordable apartment is nearly impossible. The cost of everyday essentials like groceries, transportation, and healthcare has also risen. For those living paycheck to paycheck, even a small, unexpected expense can be financially devastating. This high cost of living forces many Floridians to make difficult choices. The high cost of living creates a precarious situation, leaving residents one financial setback away from homelessness. Beyond the beaches, a complex crisis. It's easy to get caught up in the idyllic image of Florida, but beneath this glossy veneer lies a complex and often heartbreaking reality. The homelessness crisis in Florida is not simply a problem of individuals making bad choices, it's a systemic issue rooted in a confluence of factors. The individuals experiencing homelessness in Florida are not invisible statistics. They are our neighbors. Addressing this crisis requires a multi-pronged approach that tackles the root causes. Florida's future depends on its ability to create a more just and equitable society. Pensacola, a microcosm of the crisis. Pensacola, a city known for its pristine beaches and rich history, reflects the broader struggle with homelessness. Walk through the heart of downtown, and you'll likely encounter individuals experiencing homelessness. They are veterans, families struggling to make ends meet, and individuals battling mental health challenges. Their presence is a stark reminder that even in a city marketed as a paradise, hardship and despair persist. Pensacola's homeless population faces many of the same challenges as larger metropolitan areas. The city's struggles mirror the broader crisis gripping Florida, highlighting the need for innovative and localized approaches to address homelessness. Strategies for change. Pensacola's ambitious goal. Pensacola has emerged as an unexpected leader in the fight against homelessness in Florida. In 2020, the city announced an ambitious goal to reduce homelessness by 25% by 2025. Central to Pensacola's strategy is a housing-first approach. This approach recognizes that stable housing is a fundamental human right. Pensacola has ramped up efforts to create more affordable housing units. The city has invested in expanding access to mental health and substance abuse treatment programs, recognizing that these services are essential for helping individuals achieve long-term stability. The uphill battle. Challenges to progress. Pensacola's commitment to tackling homelessness is commendable, but the path is fraught with challenges. Securing adequate funding and overcoming stigma are significant hurdles. Affordable housing development is expensive, and ongoing support services require sustained financial commitment. Stigma and resistance to housing developments persist. Pensacola remains steadfast in its commitment to reducing homelessness. The city's proactive approach offers hope for other communities. Early successes and lessons learned. Pensacola's plan to reduce homelessness has shown early successes. Expansion of supportive housing, mental health, and substance abuse treatment has helped many transition to stable housing. Collaboration with nonprofits, businesses, and residents is key. Flexibility and adaptability are crucial. Pensacola's approach offers valuable lessons for other communities. Progress is possible with commitment and compassion. The face of chronic homelessness. The chronically homeless in Florida face unique challenges, often dealing with mental illness, addiction, or disabilities. Their stories challenge misconceptions and highlight systemic failures. These individuals need more than just a job or a place to stay. They require comprehensive support and understanding. Their struggles are a consequence of failed systems and inadequate resources. By understanding their plight, we can advocate for humane solutions. Understanding chronic homelessness requires unraveling the intricate web of challenges that trap individuals in a cycle of hardship. It's rarely a single factor that leads to chronic homelessness. Rather, it's a confluence of systemic failures, personal traumas, and inadequate support systems. For many, the path to chronic homelessness begins with untreated mental illness. Imagine trying to navigate the complexities of securing housing, employment, or healthcare while battling schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe depression. Without access to consistent mental health care, individuals are left vulnerable to crisis, hospitalization, and a downward spiral that can lead to homelessness. Substance abuse often goes hand in hand with mental illness, creating a vicious cycle. Drugs and alcohol become a way to cope with the trauma of homelessness, the pain of untreated mental illness, or the despair of social isolation. Yet addiction further complicates efforts to secure stable housing, maintain employment, or access necessary care. The trauma experienced by many chronically homeless individuals is often overlooked. They may have endured childhood abuse, domestic violence, or witnessed violence on the streets. This trauma can manifest as PTSD, anxiety, depression, and difficulty forming trusting relationships, further hindering their ability to escape homelessness. Compounding these challenges are the systemic barriers that stand in the way of seeking help. The lack of affordable housing options, limited access to mental health and addiction treatment services, and the stigma associated with both homelessness and mental illness create a perfect storm that traps individuals in a cycle of despair. Addressing chronic homelessness in Florida requires a shift towards prevention, intervention, and long-term support. This means expanding affordable housing and supportive services. The Housing First model has proven effective. Increasing access to mental health and substance abuse treatment is crucial. Systemic reforms like raising the minimum wage and expanding healthcare are essential. The issue of chronic homelessness in Florida is not insurmountable, but it demands a collective commitment to change. It requires a shift in perspective, from viewing homelessness as an individual failing to recognizing it as a societal responsibility. We can no longer afford to turn a blind eye to the suffering on our streets. We must demand that our elected officials prioritize affordable housing, fund mental health and addiction treatment services, and implement policies that lift people out of poverty rather than punishing them for their circumstances. But change also happens at the community level. We can volunteer our time at local shelters, donate to organizations working to combat homelessness, and advocate for more compassionate and effective solutions. We can challenge the stigma surrounding homelessness and mental illness through open conversations, education, and empathy. Every individual deserves a safe and stable place to call home, regardless of their circumstances. By investing in solutions that address the root causes of chronic homelessness, we invest not just in bricks and mortar, but in the very fabric of our humanity. We create a Florida where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, not just survive. We've journeyed through the sunny facade of Florida, pulling back the curtain on a harsh reality, the state's stark homelessness crisis. It's a crisis that exists in the shadows of luxury condos and bustling tourist attractions. Each number represents a human life, a story of struggle and resilience. We've met individuals and families grappling with the daily realities of homelessness. We've explored the systemic failures, the lack of affordable housing, the cycle of poverty, the inadequate support for mental health and addiction. But this isn't just a story about problems, it's a story about potential solutions. Communities like Pensacola are taking innovative steps, embracing the Housing First approach. These efforts offer a glimmer of hope, demonstrating that change is possible. The responsibility doesn't rest solely on policymakers or social service providers. This is a shared responsibility, a call to action for every Floridian. The time for complacency is over. The crisis of homelessness in Florida demands our attention, our empathy, and our active engagement. We can no longer afford to look away, to view this as someone else's problem. The well-being of our communities depends on our collective response. So what can you do? Start by educating yourself. Learn about the root causes of homelessness, challenge your own biases, and engage in open and honest conversations with your family, friends, and neighbors. Knowledge is the foundation of empathy, and empathy fuels action. Support organizations working on the front lines. Volunteer your time at a local shelter, donate to a food bank, or contribute to organizations providing housing, healthcare, and job training to those experiencing homelessness. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, makes a difference. Advocate for change. Contact your elected officials and demand increased funding for affordable housing, mental health services, and substance abuse treatment programs. Support policies that prioritize prevention over criminalization, compassion over condemnation. Your voice matters. Challenge the stigma. Homelessness is not a personal failing, it's a societal issue. Treat individuals experiencing homelessness with dignity and respect. Remember that behind every statistic, every cardboard sign, every weathered face, there's a human story worthy of our compassion.